and love to help you get vulnerable. Let's get naked.
Hey everyone, I'm Anne. Welcome to the Let's Get Naked podcast, where we dive deep into vulnerability. In this space, we'll explore what triggers us, uncover the patterns holding us back, and discover how to take charge of our own growth. If you're ready to dig in, be vulnerable, and face the tough stuff, then buckle up. It's time to get naked. Make no mistake about it, rock bottom is not the end. It's the beginning. It's the moment life punches you in the gut, knocks the wind out of you, and dares you to stand back up. Yeah, addiction can wreck you. It can steal your voice, your clarity, your power. Family falling apart, that'll rip your heart in two. Financial ruin, that'll shake your sense of worth to the core. But here's the truth no one talks about. When everything falls apart, you finally get to see what was never solid to begin with. Rock bottom isn't just pain, it's clarity. It's the moment the noise stops and you hear that whisper inside saying, this isn't who you are, this isn't the end of your story. Because when you've lost it all, when you're standing in the wreckage of your life, you realize something has to change. Not the surface level fix, not the pretend I'm okay kind of change, real change. Soul deep, bone shaking, uncomfortable as hell transformation. And doing that work, it takes grace to forgive yourself, even when you're the one who dropped the match. It takes grit to wake up every day and choose to keep digging, keep showing up, keep fighting for something better. And it takes guts to face your truth, to stand in the mirror and say, I'm not staying here, I'm coming back. But here's the beautiful part. The comeback is always bigger than the setback because the comeback is built on intention. It's built on awareness. It's built on truth, on healing, on doing the damn work even when nobody claps for you. So if you're in the middle of the mess right now, if life feels shattered beyond repair, good. That means the real work can begin. That means the foundation is cleared. That means you're not stuck. You're being set up. And what's coming next? It's not just a recovery. It's not just survival. It's a comeback so powerful, people will swear it was impossible until they hear your story. Today, I'm stripping it all off with Tracy O'Malley. Tracy is an Enneagram master and leadership authority. She is a best-selling author, keynote speaker, and top-ranked podcast host. Tracy has clawed her way through hell and is on the other side to share her story and to be a light to others. Her energy is magnetic and intoxicating, and I cannot wait to dive in to learn more about this badass. Welcome to the show, Tracy.
Geez, that intro had me in tears. It's just everything.
Yeah.
What you just said about like the comeback.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard to see when you're in it, like in the thick of it, and like, all that, how's this working for me bullshit.
Yeah.
Like when you're in it, it's like, don't say that to me. Like this feels like death.
Yeah, it does. You're absolutely right.
And it's really just where it all begins.
It is. Well, and I don't know if you've had an opportunity to kind of look back and do a little bit of inventory about all of the things that you've gone through and looked from different perspectives and all of the things that you've learned. For me, that's the most fascinating, to look and say, holy shit, like, you are badass, right?
Yeah, we all are.
Yeah.
We all are when we take like the opportunity and like we grieve the stuff that's really hard. Like we have to feel the stuff, which for the longest time I was just neck down dead. I was understanding everything since I was a little girl, but I never allowed myself to feel it. And it's when we can feel it that we accelerate that transformation, when we allow ourselves through the full scope of the human emotional process, that real transformation happens.
When did you, it strikes me when you say the neck down emotional
Neck down
part.
dead?
Yeah, neck down dead, because we always said between my two brothers that we're dead inside. And I didn't open up emotion stuff until I was 40.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, isn't that funny?
Well, we had to. It was protective. Like we had to like if you grew up how probably we both grew up, you know, in a very dysfunctional, neglectful, abusive, alcoholic home, we didn't have time for feelings. Like we had to understand why this was happening in order to survive it, or to like be okay. Like this is what I got to work with. So I have to like cognitively understand this. And so I've understood a lot of shit since I was 9 years old. I understood why my mom was the way she was. I understood why my dad, like on paper, it makes perfect fucking sense why they are the way they are. And they're beautiful people, we're beautiful people. And also, I got the short end of the fucking stick. Yeah. And if I let myself feel that early, like I would assume that I'm the problem. And for a long time I did. Like, I'm not worthy enough. Like, dad can't get clean because of me. Mom can't even get out of fucking bed for me. Like, all of that, you know, is about me. So being neck down dead actually protected me for the long time it did. And then it was the very thing, being neck down dead, that was going to destroy everything I cared about, you know, going into 40 and above.
Yeah.
And so I had to start to feel, and that is really hard.
It's the worst. It's the worst best ever.
It is the worst best ever, and the greatest gift I've given my children is showing them what that actually looks like, instead of just being stoic, strong as fuck mom all the time.
Yeah.
Even though that was really important, really good through so much uncertainty of our life. But they also started to think something was wrong with them because they were feeling all the feelings, and all they saw was strong, stoic mom, you know, bulletproof. Yeah. And I was robbing them of their process until I started showing them what neck down alive really looked like.
Right. It's a powerful transformation, and being able to do it in front of your children so that they can see the mess. I think a lot of people would instinctually...
I don't want to burden them.
Exactly, not show them. But my son was 8 when I got sober, and I was very open in my house about dealing with all of the things, and have been for the last 8 years, because it's been a journey. You know, the first 40 years of garbage, you know, of unpacking all of that and doing it in full view, so that they can understand what emotional intelligence looks like. They can understand and have the tools to be able to navigate their things. They can have an everyday apology, because for my middle daughter, I taught her emotions aren't, that's weakness, vulnerability is weakness. You just push it down, push it down, push it down. So now she's having to unpack all of that shit. Luckily, she gets to start that process earlier than 40. But I ruined all of my kids in a different way. Thank God they're still around to be able to, you know.
And, I know you already know this, but for the one that's sitting out there thinking they've completely fucked up their kids or it's too late, I promise you it's never too late. That living amends thing, you know, being constantly in a living amends. My kids both are grateful, you know, and they're in their late 20s now. They're both super grateful they've had the experience of the polarity, you know, and I wasn't like an everyday drinker or any meat, but I was Jekyll and Hyde. You never knew what you were going to get. But they have so much gratitude and compassion for others because they've lived both sides of it. And they have so much gratitude and respect and trust for me because, you know, I didn't burden them with it, but I invited them into the journey. Like, this is fucking hard. I have no instruction manual. You see what was taught, told, and modeled for me. That's the only roadmap I have had. Not making that as an excuse, but I'm taking the reins and going down a path I don't know anything about, but I know why I want to go down this path, and it has everything to do with you. And so here we are.
And I'm going to do it with courage, right?
Courage and bravery. And I lost everything. I was willing to lose anything and everyone but them. They were the only thing that I would fight for. Everything else, the stronghold was off. Yeah. Everything.
Yeah. How long have you been sober?
It'll be 13 years in September. So they were, you know, junior high and freshman, or eighth grade and freshman year when I got sober. And it was, you know, it was interesting. I got sober in the fall, and that fall season was rough for them. And it was cool to even see their transformation from fall to spring in their academics, athletics, their leadership, their emotional intelligence, their joy. Just proof that, you know, walking my talk at that level, we accelerated transformation pretty quick in my household. Yeah. Just by doing that.
I can only imagine in your household, everything is on the table and open for...
Always.
Yeah. Which I love.
Always.
I talk to people who say, oh, we don't really talk about that, or we don't, and it's just like, talk about everything. Say everything at full volume. Like, people should know that. Who are we hiding stuff from? If you're doing it from your family, like...
You know, there's this quote I've seen, and it's great. Like, I don't want to be the call they're afraid to make. I want them to be the call they're excited, even in crisis, to make. Yeah. And I am always, not because I have all the answers, but because I am the safe place, I am the truth teller, I am the constant, like, no matter what, I've got your back, even when you fuck up. Yeah. Like, I will be there. And I am always their first call for everything. And every Mother's Day, they both get a little emotional because they know I didn't have that Like I didn't have that in a mother. And they're like, how are you such a good mom when you didn't have that, you know? And like, that was my life's work. My only fear ever in my life, long before they were even on the radar, was fucking up my kids. I never wanted to bring people in this world and then just fuck them up. And, you know, I fucked them up good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I did.
We all do.
In a lot of ways. I mean, we're human after
Sure.
all. And, you know, that's part of their journey. And like the fucked upness that I come from, it's why I am the way I am.
Yeah.
So like, I'm not upset about any of it today because I've done my accountable work to do that. But, you know, there's not a day that goes by that I'm not grateful for my willingness and my openness and the courage it took to break every generational shit I was ever taught. And I was taught some really good shit too.
Yeah.
But to be the mom that I am today, it's the greatest success story of my life.
Yeah. It's incredible because you're able to look back at your parents and really give them credit for that they did the best that they could, right?
Yeah.
With what they had, right? Or maybe you're not at that place.
No,
I'm at that place.
I'm totally at that place.
Yeah.
But I hear that a lot it's a spiritual bypass for a lot of people. Like,
Yeah.
yes, 100% they did the best they could and they fucking dropped the ball, right? Where I struggle with that is not for me, but I hear that a lot because people feel bad saying like they did the best they could and.
Oh, 100%.
And
yeah.
I was neglected. I was abused. I wasn't protected. I wasn't cared for. I wasn't like, it's good to say that. And yes, we all do.
Yes.
And is like right there with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And my parents did. My mom was a child bride for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
And she basically married my dad because that was the only way out. You know, of course she had no idea what the fuck she was doing.
Yeah.
And bless her heart. And she did give me some things today that I really see and I'm really thankful for, even though I don't have a relationship with her. She's a beautiful soul. And she's like got childlike wonder. And she really shit the bed when it came to... But I can imagine being the mother to me from the get-go. I mean, my earliest memory of her was her feeling intimidated by me and not feeling like she could measure up or like compare herself to me. And I don't say that from an ego place.
No, I understand.
I'm
exactly.
a big fucking strong energy and I came out into this world strong as fuck. And my mom isn't necessarily that energy. She's beautiful energy in a different way, but... I understand it. You know, I understand it.
When you speak, it's so funny because I've never had someone where I'm like, same.
Yeah.
You know, I've never had that, but same. I have always been this big everything, energy, personality, like all of the things. And so it caused problems for me, you know? What did your teenage years look like?
You know, I was the golden child. So I was raised with my sister who's 2 years younger than me. And she came out just like full of piss and vinegar. She didn't care how she got attention as long as she got it. I was the opposite. I'm like, I'm going to do all the right things. I'm going to be the perfect child because my dad wanted a boy. And, you know, my earliest memory of my father was hearing the story being told. I was 4 years old. He wanted a boy so bad. My name was picked out. My room was blue till I was 6. All my clothes were boy clothes. I knew the entire sports lineup of every Chicago team by the time I was 3. I could open a beer by the time I was 3. And so the story that was told, and if you knew my dad, you knew this was very grandiose. And we're Irish, so, you know, we're great storytellers anyway.
Yeah.
And also, you know, he's kind of like Archie Bunker. For those of you that are over 45, you know who that is. And he looked like him. So he would tell the story, and I was 4 the first time I heard the story being told that, you know, the day that Tracy was born, you know, I sat in the waiting room because, you know, this is 1972. You weren't in the room when the kid's born. There's no gender reveal bullshit, no ultrasounds. Like, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit.
Take this one home whether you want it or not.
Well, my dad threw a fit because the doctor comes out of the room where my dad is smoking cigarettes. Like, this is dating me.
It's a real thing. Yep.
Real thing. And says, congratulations, Mr. O'Malley, you have a daughter. And he takes his cigarette and puts it out and he says, keep them both. Meaning me and my mom.
Yeah.
I don't want her. And like, knowing my dad, this is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But when I really was, again, neck down dead, I had to be in order to absorb that. But a 4-year-old heard that. And the immediate translation to me was, I have to be as close to masculine, boy-like. And so I fit that role. So I was the golden child to my dad. My mom obviously had her stuff. And so teenage years, like you think about you know, the Instapot or a pressure cooker. Maintaining that level of like, I have to be this, like the pressure's intense, and I'm intense anyway. Aries, Enneagram 8, like intense is like my middle name. And eventually you have to like flip the release valve. And the only way I knew how was alcohol and food. Those were my two things that were safe, that wouldn't betray me, right? And the first time I took a sip of alcohol, I was 15, and I didn't drink like other people. Like, you know, this is the 80s, so everybody's drinking Zima and wine coolers. Disgusting.
It's the worst. I was thinking about Zima the other day. I was like, I can still taste that taste in my mouth. It's so gross.
Vile. And of course, this girl goes for the SoCo. And that was my first drinking experience. And I will never forget the first time it hit my lips, the pressure release, that first sip. And I was chasing that feeling forever. Same thing with like food. I always like, or even Diet Coke even, like that first sip is like that pressure release valve. And because I live in so much intensity all the time, I started chasing that. Well, as a teenager, that got a little reckless. Got myself into some situations that were definitely not okay. I drove myself, definitely by the grace of God, I didn't hurt anyone or myself. You know, got myself into situations where, you know, there was sexual assaults, and of course blamed myself, you know. But it was like this constant chase of how do I release this intensity a little bit without being so destructive? And I really had a hard time finding that balance and that harmony for many, many years. And I was still the golden child, you know, good athlete, good student. I was the guy's girl. You know, I could talk about SportsCenter and sports and cars and money. And I don't want to talk about lipstick and shopping, even though I look that part.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it was, and that was a message from my dad as well. It's like, you be as independent, you don't rely on anyone. Like, thank God he taught me this stuff. You make your own money, you let nobody control it, and you better look fucking good and keep yourself in shape and be pretty. I was like, I understood the assignment.
Yeah.
And it's worked. And that's the problem. Like, I have the receipts to show that that worked really fucking great for me for a long, long time.
Yeah.
But I still was like, okay, how do I release this intensity in a way that's not destructive? And I didn't find that till I was 40.
Yeah. I feel like same with the masculine energy, and really like I was in construction the whole time. I was the third girl, and my dad did want a boy, and so it was the same shit, right? It's like nobody wants a third girl. And then being one of 5, and I'm smack dab in the middle, you know, I was that one that just so much intensity, so much all of the things. And so I struggled. I was very rebellious. I was, you know, the first time I had a drink, it felt like home to me. Didn't like the way that you described that, the pressure relief, it literally just felt like, I do too, it felt like it washed over me, and that was home, you know. And looking back at it, same thing, putting yourself in sexual situations that you know were traumatic with way older boys, all sorts of shit. It's just like, and then blaming yourself, right? Not feeling worthy, not feeling like you were enough because of all of these other things. And then it's fine, I'm fine, everything's fine. And doing the first 40 years of your life like that.
Yeah, fine as feelings inside, not expressed.
Exactly, exactly. Until you're not fucking fine, and then it's like, holy shit, my life is on fire.
It's built on a house of cards.
It is. It's a dumpster fire, right? So like in the intro, and you're talking about really figuring out what's at the foundation. When people are telling me like, oh my God, my life's falling apart, and I get excited for them. I'm like, yes, because you have to fucking have that. You have to be able to like really get to the bottom where you're really willing to look at yourself in the mirror, look at all of the gross shit that you've brought to the table, and take accountability for that. The living amends is everything.
Everything. I mean, you think about it, like, especially here in Arizona, like these houses pop up in 5 minutes, right? It's like, I wonder what that foundation looks like. You know, you got the pretty backsplash and the pretty, you know, all the shit that makes it look real pretty from the curb. But I know what that house is on. Sand, right? And think about it, like for us too, when you have built this life of pretty shit. And I did.
Yeah, I did too.
But I knew the foundation was just a matter of time. And of course, if you don't address it soon, it's going to come along at a time that's not convenient, fun, cheap, without some humble pie.
Yeah, the humble pie is always served in bulk.
You know, public even sometimes.
Yeah, of course.
And, you know, if you are trying so hard to maintain the aesthetics, but you aren't addressing the foundation, just know it's just going to happen.
It is.
So,
well, and for me, I didn't realize it was on a house of sand.
Me either. None of us
bed
do.
of sand, right? It was just like, I'm waking up with my life crumbling around me going, what the fuck is happening?
And I would say, like, I'm not as bad as that. Or people around me were saying, you're not bad.
Sure.
You're great. Like, your goals. I'm like, of course I am.
Right.
And like my ego loved it.
Oh, of course.
But my soul was going, bitch,
Yeah.
stop.
I had my ego on a steady diet, of just, right? But you did all the things. I
had the
excelled.
receipts.
I ate same.
Look,
I had
it
all of the
works.
things, like amazing car, fancy house, big business, successful, all the things. Everyone saying your goals, right? And it's like, how is this?
That's the first sign. Like,
right.
I was surrounded by people who were okay with me with low standards. And I remember when I said I was going to check myself into rehab, everybody in my life, except my kids, were like, what? Like, you don't have, I have more of a problem than you do. I'm like, well, I have higher standards than you do.
Yeah.
And I want to teach and model something that I haven't been modeled. And I can't know the way, go the way, and show the way for my kids with this atlas that I've been handed my whole life. I have to know how to read a new map and then show them the way. They'll do what I do, not what I say to do. And up until this point, although I've done really well in certain areas, I've been giving them lip service and they deserve way better than that. And so do I.
It's so funny that you say that about modeling that for your kids and how you're willing to do anything for them, because I hear people and they say, I would die for my kids. I would this for my kids. And it's like, that's a bunch of pussy talk as far as I'm concerned, right?
It's bullshit.
Like, it is. It's like, do the work for your kids. Model that behavior for them so that they can see what that looks like, so that they don't
Self-abandoning is not doing anything for your kids.
No, and you're modeling to them, be on this hamster wheel of rinse, lather, repeat. What good does that do to them?
Zero.
Right.
They'll be in therapy in 40 years talking about you.
Absolutely.
And blaming you.
If they're lucky, right? If they make it that far, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, it's a pretty savage thing. I want to read something that you had on your questionnaire.
Oh.
Last time you felt truly exposed. Every damn day, and I'm here for it. This is where the energetic boner comes in.
All right. It's true, though.
I know. For our listeners, I told Tracy when she came in, I gave her the compliment that I've never given anyone else. And I said, you give me an energetic boner. Jackie's over here crawling into the floor because she's like, please fucking stop talking and saying shit like that. And I don't fucking care.
Stop.
Exactly. Like, an energetic boner, fuck yes.
That made my 2025.
I am literally here for it. I am literally here for it. But this kind of shit where you put on here, what lights your underlying fire? Blazing a trail for those here to honor their calling despite the odds they face. I believe what you think disqualifies you is actually what qualifies you for abundance, love, greatness, and freedom. I mean, fucking preach, woman, preach.
It's the truth.
It is, though. But it's like, this stuff is what resonates with me. I see so many people that talk the talk, right? And to me,
We talked about the girl gang earlier.
Yeah,
me and Melissa
it's
were,
a whole thing, right? And it's like, and to each their own. Like, do your own thing. But for me, I don't want people that are at my table of life that aren't fucking gritty. I want people that are real fucking gritty, that have been in the trenches and come from the trenches and speak that. And so as I'm reading your stuff, I'm like, this is my fucking girl. This is the shit that I'm talking about. So no, it's...
Let's get naked.
Let's get naked. Hard decision made recently, letting go of people, places, and things that grossly misunderstand and misjudge me. I no longer fight or defend it. I know what I am here to do. That's fucking powerful. It gives me chills just saying it right now.
Because it's really hard and painful.
It is. It is. But I think, I got to this place where the discomfort lives and where the shit triggers me, I run at it. Fucking, I love it. I love the work. I love being better. I love being my best self. Like, show me where I have a fault so that I can fucking look that bitch in the eye and fix it, right? I just want to be the best version of myself that I can, right?
Well, and the beauty of being 53 years old is also knowing anytime I have released and not defended or all the things, even people I never anticipated misjudging me and misunderstanding me. And there's been many, especially the last few years, which is ironic because I'm softer in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm edgy as fuck and will kill you if I have to, but like, I'm realistically way more vulnerable and soft than I've ever been. And that's made people more radically uncomfortable. And I also recognize that anytime I don't try to hold on to something that has lived past its expiration date, and they don't have to be bad people. It doesn't have to be this whole dramatic story about like they're a piece of shit. And, I've had a few of those that did me dirty, but whatever. Anytime that I have surrendered that full, like everything, something better comes along, or a friendship, or an opportunity, or anything. Like, the elite doesn't wait in line. You know, I used to have a friend in high school who always had a boyfriend, and I would say, like, this guy's a piece of shit. She goes, well, you know, I know he's not the one, but I'm like waiting for the right one. I'm like, well, if you're entertaining bullshit in your life, whether it's a boyfriend, friendships, whatever that looks like you're going to miss what is for you because there's no space for it to come in. And when I was in rehab, Nancy, my therapist, used to say, you know, I've seen her for the full decade after I got sober. And, you know, after I got sober, after I left the relationship I was in, like 7 years I didn't date. In the prime of my 40s, mind you, like women, that is our prime.
Yeah.
And from 40 to 47, I did not go on one date, no hookups, nothing. And Nancy used to tell me, Trace, you should probably practice date. I'm like, Nance, no offense. Like, I appreciate that. I don't need practice. Yeah. I'll know what the fuck to do when it shows up. But I don't want to be so distracted by what isn't for me and that nonsense so that when it does show up, I don't see it coming. And thank God I didn't.
Yeah. Ladies, that's a public service announcement. That is a public service announcement.
It was worth every minute of wait. Because when he showed up, I was like, energetically, I felt him before I saw him. And like, that's how powerful this is when you honor the calling and you honor yourself. And it's still scary. Like, seriously, it's like, holy fuck. I just felt him come in the room and then he's in front of me and he's like everything that I would want. And, you know, it's got shit, but thank God I wasn't distracted. Practice dating.
You would have missed it.
I would have missed it.
On all of the Mr. Wrongs and all the people that are just bringing bullshit and distraction to your life. Nobody fucking needs that.
And I have very, very strong, it's, you know, even though I've had addiction with food, alcohol, anger, sex, like everything but drugs, basically. Codependency is my strongest addiction. And I can't fuck around and find out in especially romantic partnerships because I could go down the rabbit hole of being so utterly distracted, not just by with that person, but, you know, disregard my own shit, that I was like, I need to understand my codependent patterns in all these relationships, starting with my father, right? Like, that's where it all started. And really have a grip on that. Now, again, understanding that from the neck up is one thing, right? But understanding that from the neck down, the only way you can earn those spiritual and emotional muscles is actually in the arena, which means in relationship. So that first year I was in the relationship with my person, when he showed up, like, I had to fight every bit of my codependent patterns, and I spoke it out loud to him, and it was beautiful because I'd never done that in my life. But again, a true testament to, like, you have to be willing to let go of anything that doesn't honor where you are going and what the calling is on your life, because things are waiting to show up for you, but you have to make room for it.
Yeah. And that's scary as fuck. You know,
it's lonely too. Like, seriously.
And I think that's why people are so hesitant about doing that. That's why we distract and numb and try to avoid all of that. But it's like, that's where the good shit lives. That's where the awesome sauce is. Like, if you knew that, if you knew how fucking good it was on this side of it, you'd run towards it.
It's worth it. I mean, there were moments, like, I'm a very physical person, so the fact that I gave up the prime of my 40s is hilarious. And I promise you, I didn't need practice because I knew what I was doing.
It's like riding a bike. You just jump right back on.
It was great. And as there were moments, it was lonely. There were moments like I'd be in San Diego with my kids and I'd see all the couples. I'm like, I want that. I'm like, I do want that. And I remember a friend of mine said to me, she's like, okay, O'Malley, like, you've shown the world and anybody who knows you that you've got this and you don't need anyone and all the things. She's like, is that really what you want? I'm like, no, I want to be a partner with somebody. I'm a great partner, and I know that I do better when I have healthy partnership. And it was in that moment I kind of declared it to the world, and literally 2 weeks later, I really had to be vulnerable. I was like, I don't need it, but I do want it, and I do deserve that. I do deserve that, and I know that I bring a lot to the table, and I know that having the right partner, friend, you know, partners in my life will only enhance what I'm here to do. You know,
the vulnerability piece of that, it's so raw, like gritty.
I'd rather chop off a foot.
I know that you would, because I feel the same way. But what I'll tell you is, I now use it as my superpower.
It is
because
my superpower.
It's in the last year, my person and I have really gotten vulnerable about a lot of stuff. And it is the coolest thing on the planet, you know, when you're able to get that with friendships, with, you know, people at your table of life. That's everything. I don't want surface level anything with anyone anymore. And that's where, okay, maybe this has come to an end. This season is over with different friendships or different people, and that's okay. That's okay to do that. I don't want anyone that's not willing to do the work and get on the floor and be gritty with me.
And I'm not judging them for that.
No, of course not. You do you.
I seriously, like, if I saw somebody like me coming 15 years ago, I'm like, get that bitch away from me.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, no, thank you.
Well, people would say you're intimidating, and that's what they say to me too. But I say I'm not intimidating. You're intimidated, and that's a different thing. That's on you. But you spark stuff for people.
I'm
for
an opportunity.
Right. For me, it's an energetic boner. For other people, it's probably not that. It's more being intimidated because you have presence. You don't fuck around. You understand what your worth is and you know what you've done to get to this place. You're comfortable and confident in that.
And I have a fuck ton of compassion too,
Absolutely.
which I think also makes people feel really uncomfortable because I don't judge, not even for a moment. No. And some people, like, I am a force and I always have, but I didn't always have compassion. Right. Like, I had judgment for sure. I'd be like, well, if you're just stronger, maybe this wouldn't be like this.
Same.
Whereas now I'm like, I get it. Even people that aren't maybe as intense as me. I mean, I'm raising an empath. My son is the most sensitive human being I have ever known. And of course, he was gifted to me to teach me empathy and compassion and sensitivity as a strength. You know, but I think people really are uncomfortable with a mirror in front of them, and it's an opportunity. I don't expect everybody to want it, and that's okay. And I don't take it personal. It's not personal. Doesn't mean it doesn't always sting a little bit because I'm still human, and but I also understand the assignment of my life very clearly.
When did the compassion component come in? Because for me, that was within the last couple of years where I was like, I didn't realize that my judgy for other people was a judgy to me first, and that I had to fix that first. And as soon as I did that, then everything else just kind of started unraveling with the compassion component and the other things. And so I'm the same way. Like, I do whatever you want. Get twisted up in your own. I don't give a shit, right? But you don't have to be at my table. You can be at your own table doing those things. I don't care.
I do give a shit. Like, I do give a shit about people. I don't necessarily give a shit what you think about me.
Right.
The real compassion came in. Obviously, sobriety helped that, but I still lacked it. Yeah. And it was about 9 years ago that I was 44 years old, and I was on my deathbed, quite honestly. And I was, like, really sad about it. I was like, seriously, God, like, I finally get my life together. I'm living like the most authentic, true version of who you designed me to be, and now you're going to take me out. And I was on this constant quest to seek and understand why a healthy, strong, fit, sober 44-year-old woman was, like, literally dying before people's eyes. And again, of course, I didn't tell anybody. I was like,
you got this. I got this.
Went to 14 different specialists to try and figure it out. And of course, everybody wanted to treat a symptom. And my savage ass walks in. I'm like, I know I got 15 minutes. We're not here to treat a fucking symptom. To help me understand what's at the root of this, because slapping something on a symptom is not going to help me. And it took number 14 to spend 2 hours with me to kind of go through my timeline. And I had breast implants at the time. That wasn't helping things. I had late stage Lyme disease, chronic Lyme, that was eating away at me. And, you know, he took 50 vials of blood. And at the same time, I started doing my own sleuthing. This is before breast implant illness was, like, even mainstream. Like, nobody was talking about it 9 years ago. And I had just figured it out. And he took the 50 vials of blood. I said, I don't know what that's going to say, but I know that in order to do whatever I need to do about what those 50 vials of blood are going to say, I have to remove this. And I loved those things. They were beautiful. And they were also armor, you know, very physically an armor to my heart. And, you know, I'd had them for a long, long time. And making that radical, very quick decision to remove them was emotional, but also, like, I'm here. I am here to do mighty work, and I can't hide behind anything, including these big, beautiful boobs. And they weren't even that big, but they were beautiful. And so, of course, I go back to the office, and I walk in, and he goes, and he looks at me. He's like, I don't even know how you're still alive. He's like, and I think you're onto something. He goes, your immune system's completely shut down. I'm like, well, good, because they're coming out tomorrow. He's like, okay. And then he proceeded to show me, like, my lab work. He's like, you have a long road ahead of you. I said, well, I'm getting these out tomorrow. He goes, great. A few days later, we're putting a port in your chest, and we're going to have to hook you up to IVs every day for the next 6 months.
Jesus.
I'm like, and I've got, of course, my calendar. I'm like, but I've got this. And, I was in the height of a business. I
don't have time for this.
I was crushing the business that I went. I went from a full male-dominated industry to a full female and was crushing it. I was and I was doing good work, helping people. And I was like, yeah, but I got this, I got this. And he looked me straight in the eyes and he took my planner and he goes, you're not going to see 2018 if you don't do something. And I remember getting rolled into the operating room, of course, by myself. I wouldn't let anybody help me. And I remember the tear rolling down my face. And I promised God, I will never abuse this body that I've been given again.
It's a gift.
And on the outside, I looked fine. Again, feelings inside not expressed. And of course, I wanted it that way. I didn't want anybody, but I knew I was dying. I knew I was dying. And this invisible thing that nobody could see, that is where my compassion came, because I realized how radically, I was a pillar of health. I was doing everything right. Granted, I did put, those in my body, which no judgment, whatever. I have this gene mutation that makes that not so great. Yeah. But that's when my real compassion came, because I was my most vulnerable and I was about to lose my entire life at my very best. That'll humble you like nobody's business. And that's where my compassion really started, especially around, the emotional aspect of trauma in our body. Because although I had the foreign thing in my body and Lyme disease, there was also a lot of stored emotional trauma in my life that I had, from the neck down, shoved down. And I didn't believe in somatic work. Even 9 years ago, I was like, somatic work, just be headstrong and smart and tough and all the things. And it was in that experience that I sat in those chairs. I was lined up with end-stage cancer people for 6 months. The cancer people that no oncologist would take. That was me and them. It was pretty severe. And I saw very clearly the next mission on the docket when I got out of this. I was very clear I was going to survive this and all the things. And so after I got unhooked from the chairs 6 months later, I started beta testing some of this deeper work I knew I wanted to do with people. And I took 5 women in an RV. I took 5 very different women that I had known, different parts of life, stages of life. I said, hey, would you guys want to go camping with me up in Prescott? I got the RV. You just have to show up. I got everything. They're like, yeah. And this is how I knew the body keeps the score. And the body never lies. And for so long, I was ignoring my body. Since I was a little girl, I had to disassociate from it as it was being abused, as a 10-year-old, as a 17-year-old. It was not safe to be in my body. And so we're setting up campground. It's the first night we're there. We haven't even dove into anything deep yet. And all of a sudden, we've got the 5 of them and me around the campfire. And all of a sudden, my body starts doing something. My heart starts racing. I get really hot. My ears are burning. And I'm and in the past, that's just my household, basically. I lived with that, so that wasn't anything that was too out of the ordinary. But because of my experience and being more in tune with my body, especially since removing my implants and everything that I'd been through, I was curious. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And I even said out loud, I was looking around, I'm like, guys, what's going on? And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, something's happening here. And they're like, I don't know. And 15 seconds later, 2 campgrounds over, a drunken brawl breaks out. And that's what I grew up with. Mm-hmm. And my body felt that energy before my conscious mind ever did. That was a life-changing moment for me to know that the body is always here to serve us and protect us, but we have to pay attention to it and listen to it and honor it. Mm-hmm. And that's where my compassion came from that experience. Never again will I abandon this beautiful, I can't do what I'm called here to do and understand the assignment if I'm dishonoring the vessel.
Yeah.
That's carrying it.
It's powerful shit. It's a big realization.
Life-changing.
Yeah.
Life-changing after, I've been in dysfunctional relationship with food and, flip-flopping between anorexic tendencies and bulimic tendencies since I was a 5-year-old. Like that was my first healthy, or at least my first drug of choice that I could get access to as a 5-year-old in the middle of the fucking dysfunction, you know, other than codependency. You know, it was my first like tangible thing. And all of that really helped me get the reins on all of that and honor the vessel first, always.
It's hugely important.
It's everything.
And I think people don't listen to their body because we do the whole, like, we're so focused on distractions and numbing that you can't even pay attention. Yeah, of course. And you can't even pay attention to what that is. And when you realize your gut and your body, and if you can get quiet enough and still enough to listen to the whispers, fuck,
all the answers are there.
That's literally where all the answers are.
It's an excavation process, but we have piled on stuff, or we've restricted stuff to honor the vessel, or we have polished it. And trust me, I'm vain as fuck.
Yeah.
And I like to look good and take care of it aesthetically, and also never at the expense of the honor that the vessel needs to do what it's here to do.
Yeah. I had the exact same situation with the implants. I had them out 2 years ago. They were fucking beautiful.
They were so gorgeous.
Same. I had them for a long time. But when you describe the whole, like, yes, they were also this armor, like, I'm getting full body chills because that's exactly what I felt like. And I feel like I wouldn't be here to do this work and be of service to everybody else without having done that, because it was that armor. I needed to have them I'm getting powerful. Listening to you speak, I feel like I could be listening to myself say those same words of just, this is not.
I remember the first time I hugged my daughter, because I'd never hugged her without them. You know, she was baby.
Sure.
They were 1 and 2 when I got them.
Sure.
And it was in a yoga class. And I remember doing where you fold in half. I don't know what that's called, yogis. I apologize. But I folded in half, and it was the first, you know, and my chest was against my thighs, and I felt my heartbeat for the first time. And then I hugged my daughter and sobbed. And the other thing that happened, you know, she only knew me with them, and she used to judge herself. Like, we both have booty, right? And she was like, yeah, but you got the whole package. And she didn't know till she was a teenager, really, that I had them. She asked, I would have told her, but she didn't.
Sure.
And I'll never forget the day that I got home, and she was standing in the kitchen. I saw her looking at me in a weird way, in a beautiful way. She goes, I do look just like you. She goes, and it's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And the relationship with her own body changed that day. Like, me being courageous enough to do that. And, you know, they were beautiful.
Yes, I understand.
And I tell my boyfriend, I show him pictures. I'm like, I'm sorry, you never got those.
I mourn them all the time. I mourn them all the time. I'm like,
gorgeous.
This is what I'm left with, Love Muffin, and my, you know, my person is happy one way or the other. But it is
same.
But it is funny. It's like, they were lovely.
And they were great armor.
Yeah, and they were great armor for the time that they were, that I had them. But it is a great way to describe that, is that they were armor. I could talk to you forever. Will you please tell me what it is that you do with this?
With the Enneagram?
Yes, please. Just because I don't want to, like, I announce that that's what it is, and then we don't even tell anyone what it is.
Well, you want to hear the story how I got into it?
I do. I would love to hear the story.
It's very appropriate for everything we've talked about.
Yes,
so,
please.
You know, I checked myself into rehab, right? Against everybody in my life. They're like, you're crazy. I'm like, yeah, well, whatever. So I'm crazy. So I check into rehab, and day 2, I'm introduced to Nancy, and she's tough. She's an Enneagram 8 like me, and you don't have to know the Enneagram to know, like, that's the energy. Nancy's that, and she's from Texas, and she's 20 years older than me, so she's got some experience, so I respect that. And she's like, on day 2, you know, only 2% of you are going to make it, you know, in recovery. And I'm like, I'm doing the math. And the first words I spoke to anybody was like, sorry, guys, you're going to fail.
Right.
I'm making it. I'm the 2%.
Yeah.
And on day 2, she's like, hey, I want you to do this Enneagram thing. I'm like, respectfully, Nancy, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
I don't need another label. I'm coming here with so many. Like, you've seen the house of cards here. You know, I've dealt them all out to you. You know, I didn't hide anything from Nancy. You know, the food, the alcohol, all of it. I'm like, I don't need another label. And she's like, my dear, your best thinking has gotten you here. And this might actually help you get out of the box that the world has put you in, your environment has put you in, and you've put yourself in. So how about you open up your mind a little bit and just entertain this for a moment? I'm like, okay, Nancy, touche. You're right. And I was super confronted by it. But here's the thing. When I was a little girl, 9-year-old, remember when I said I understood a lot of things as a 9-year-old girl. And I also used to read the Atlas as a kid. Like, I was fascinated with maps, and I got made fun of for it. They're like, my dad's like, why are you reading, like, Iowa. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just fascinated with how we get from here to there. Like, how does this all work? How the fuck do I get out of here? You know, I was in Illinois. I'm sure there were better places than Iowa, but at the time, like, I was fascinated with a mapping system. And growing up in the household I grew up in, and my spiritual gifts, I definitely have a channel for sure. No question about it. But I didn't always have the language to put with what I was feeling, seeing, and knowing. And I did pretty well, you know. Most of that came from protection and survival because of the environment I grew up in. But as I got older, I was still able to kind of know, see, and feel things, but I didn't necessarily know what to do with that. And when the Enneagram dropped in my lap, when I put the armor down and received it, it was like the divine, whatever that means to you. It was like, I've been waiting for the right time to give you this map. Because now you have not only language for yourself, but you're going to teach this language. Because it's a language people need to understand why they're here, their home base, how to get from here to there, how to do it effectively, efficiently, and honoring themselves in the process. And so the Enneagram dropped into my life in rehab. I came into it kicking and screaming, and for 5 years, I used it and mastered my understanding and integration of it, because I started using my own intuition and channel, plus my experience of growing up the way that I grew up, using this language in the closet. And I was able to effectively lead a sales team to multi-million dollars on my own with no social network. I built a sales organization of over 100,000 people with the tool of the Enneagram, telling no one. And people were fascinated. Like, I was able to lead anyone, not just spicy girls like me and you. Like, I could lead the empath. I could lead somebody who is more meek and quiet. And people were fascinated how people were so receptive to my leadership if they weren't, you know, type A masculine energy girls like me. And I was using this tool behind the scenes, not to keep it a secret. Well, maybe a little bit. It was like my secret weapon, but I was becoming masterful of like, okay, I have known this all along. I just am plugging in the language that I know in this atlas called the Enneagram, which is what I call it. And it was at the same time that I had my health scare that the Enneagram became trendy, and it pissed me off. Like, it pissed me off. I didn't want to jump on the train because it was trendy. I came out of the Enneagram closet because I was pissed because it wasn't being used as beautiful as it needed to be. And so I came out of the Enneagram closet. I started talking about it, and all of a sudden everybody's like, so this is how you read people's souls. I'm like, well, I read people's souls, but now I have language to put to it, and now I can give it to you. And so that's how I started becoming the Enneagram expert that, you know, teams like Google and Amazon and Facebook and John Deere and, you know, major Fortune 100 companies bring me in to understand their people. I'm like, I'm just giving you the atlas and guiding you how to read it and how to read each other, but only in integrity and with beautiful intent. Because any tool in the wrong hands with the wrong intent is a weapon, whether it be the book of AA, whether it be the Bible, whether it be astrology, whether it be a chainsaw, whether it be the Enneagram. Like, I am only here to teach this tool with beautiful intent and integrity. And if that's not you, then I'm not going to be here to teach this for you. And that's also why I know it wasn't given to me by the grace of God until it was. Because I absolutely would have used it to control, manipulate, and protect.
I know exactly what you're talking about. There's certain things that have come to me where it's like, there's no way I would have been ready for this 2 years ago. I wouldn't, you know, I was so in my ego, so in all of these other places where I would not have been able to use this. So for me, having my implants out was a big part of like being ready for stuff. So it's fascinating. It made room. It's fascinating that.
So that's how I got into it. And that's like, and the way that I talk about it and teach it now, like, even Enneagram people, like, I mean, it's an ancient thing. If you want to know history of it, just Google that shit. I don't care about any of that. I'm like, what's in this for fucking me and you? That's how I teach it, right? Like, why do I need to understand this? And the way that I teach it and the way that I integrate and explain it, a lot of the people that talk about it and teach it are great information teachers, and thank goodness for them. But if you want to actually use the tool, like, I'm the person. Like, business, personal. I mean, I do family interventions with this. I do team interventions. I do a lot of marriage interventions. You know, I will always, you know, because it worked in my home team first. And in fact, when I came out of rehab, I recognized very early that I only spoke my language. And no matter how well intended I was, and no matter how much I love my kids, the way that I was communicating sometime wouldn't land. And I didn't intend that, right? Well, then you need to learn a language. And the good thing about the Enneagram is not that complicated. It's complex, but it can streamline a language that you need to speak. So when I was sitting in rehab and I was understanding some of this, I knew mine right away, even though I was mistyped on the Enneagram. That's a whole thing. But I knew that I was raising two kids that were different from me and very different from each other. And I took this home. Literally in rehab, I had my iPod with Eric Church and Mumford & Sons. I had the Enneagram, and I had my Dexter DVDs, of course, serial killer shit, And I came home and started implementing what I understood about the Enneagram without telling my kids. But I knew I was raising a 2 and I knew I was raising a 7. And I just started speaking as though I knew, and I did. And the culture in my home changed overnight. Granted, sobriety helped. But me speaking a language and understanding they're motivated differently from me and differently from each other, and I'm not better and they're not better. We're all here to learn from each other. And the more that I'm open to speaking to that for them, I can empower them. And that changed everything for me.
Yeah.
Everything. So yeah, I'm very passionate about the Enneagram.
Yeah.
It brought me back to who I was designed to be before life kicked me in the teeth a little bit, and before the environment told me I had to be something different than I was. So it brought me back home. But with the wisdom of who I am today. And it's such an honor to be able to give that to other people, with this work.
It's so much fun.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
I could talk about it 24/7.
When you find what your purpose is, why you're here, it makes all the rest of that shit fall away. When I'm reading your stuff and it's like, I don't have to explain myself to anybody, don't give a fuck, like all of the things. I've always come from that place, but also I come from a place where I don't have to defend anything that I'm doing or done, because I know who I am, I know what my intentions are, like all of the bullshit is cleaned out, so that I'm crystal clear. Crystal clear. And I don't have to wonder about things, when I hear the whisper, I just fucking go. Like I don't question, I don't care, I don't run it through this stupid fucked up mind that doesn't have any good data points anyways and is wrong most of the time with the, you're not good enough and all the shit that it tells you. It's like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to go off of my gut.
But if you had told me in rehab almost 13 years ago that this thing I resisted and came into kicking and screaming would be the thing that I'm now known for. Me and my ego battle a little bit over that, because I'm more than the Enneagram. The Enneagram is just the language in which my gifts actually can be received, and it's a language I can give all of you. So I do battle that from time to time, because I have this depth of experience, wisdom, strengths, strategies. Like I'm smart as fuck.
Yeah.
If this is the tool that gets you in front of me to open the door, it's the gateway drug, so to speak, to you really being willing and open to take the courageous, bold steps to honor who you are and who you're here to be, and the calling that's on your life. Then fucking call me the Enneagram girl.
Yeah.
I'm the Enneagram godmother, or what? I'm the master, whatever I am. I will go toe to toe with anybody on this.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I love being able to teach it to people.
I love the passion.
Obsessed.
When you have that, there is this obsession about getting the knowledge, figuring things out, honing how you do it. I mean, it's savage is what it feels like.
Savage.
Yeah, in like the most beautiful way. And people don't understand that when they're on this rinse, lather, repeat cycle. They look at me and they think I'm fucking nuts, because I'm so excited and passionate about what it is that I'm doing. And it's like, no, you don't understand. Like I've figured out what I'm meant to be doing. And I just go with whatever that is.
But it takes me back to the little girl laying on the floor reading the Rand McNally Atlas.
Yes.
Even as a 9-year-old, I was trying to understand the mapping system on how we got here and how do we get out of here and how do we move through this life. And the Enneagram is just a mapping system. Fast forward, 30 years later.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful homecoming.
It is beautiful. And you said something in your thing about off-roading for a couple of decades, and that really landed for me, because when you realize, get back to that 9-year-old. That's how I encourage other people when it's like, get all of this other shit. Yes, it's garbage and it's painful and it's, gut-wrenching work that you're going to do. But it is gut-wrenching. But when you can get back to that 9-year-old,
and love her the way that she always deserved.
Oh my God, she's amazing. And the awe and the wonder that she comes at life with, right? And not all the bullshit that gets in the way of stuff. That's fabulous to me. I look at that and I have that. I want to share that with other
Yeah.
people. You know, and my problem is I get super fucking excited where I'm like, let me help everyone. And it's like, that's actually not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'll wait here patiently until the universe or the creator or whatever brings whoever I'm supposed to be doing. And so I just hold space, you know.
Yeah. It's funny because I used to enter a room and be like bold with words and bold. Like I'm bold with energy, as you know.
Yes, I do.
But it almost is more magnetizing because people can feel that I know, and then and they're like, you see things, don't you? I'm like, I see everything.
So good.
And I'm like, and I don't judge a bit of it. And there are some people that are really ready for that. And like I said, there are some people that they go running, and I would have been that person. So I get it.
Yeah, I think that your energy is definitely something that would make people go running the other way, and if they're not ready to tackle that, right? Because it does. It's when you realize we're all mirrors, you know, to what that person is supposed to be learning about themselves.
There's a lot of people out in the entrepreneurial world, which I am part of, and I love, and I'm obsessed with, and you know, I'm surrounded by a network of really incredible, successful, powerful people. And also I see the lip service. Again, no judging. Like I get it. Like they're white knuckling life. They are maintaining an image. And I think what can feel so, I don't even like the word threatening, but uncomfortable being in my presence is I walk into a room and there is absolutely nothing fake, nothing white knuckling about my life. And people really want that, and they're afraid of what they have to disrupt in their life in order to get it.
It's a great way to say it.
Because you do have to disrupt a lot of life in order to have it.
You have to be willing to sacrifice everything.
Everything.
Yeah. Everything.
Yeah.
How do you stay humble? How do you keep your ego in check?
Oh my God. I just never forget like what I've been through, what I've come from, the people I'm raising.
Yeah.
You know, like every day is a gift, quite honestly. And I've had everything. I've made lots of money. I've lost lots of money. I've had great health. I lost great health. Like I take nothing for granted. I really honor the little girls inside of me. I think there's like 3 versions of our little people inside of us. I call them the little legends. And it's like the first one that took the hit, you know, was my 4-year-old. The one who heard my dad tell that story was the one who took the first hit, like being me is not okay.
Yeah.
Right. And then there's the 9-year-old who experienced a lot of the coping mechanisms, the thoughts and beliefs built around that hit. And then my rebellious one, which we've talked about, who was trying to quiet the noise of all of it. And I think really honoring the 3 little legends that have lived this experience with me really keeps me humble. And like the most important parenting I'm ever going to do is the ones that live inside of me. Like, even though I'm a great fucking mother and it's such an honor to be the mother to my kids, like the best mothering I've ever done is to myself. And that keeps me humble because that job never ends, you know? And for me to do what I do, like that has to come first.
Yeah.
Has to.
It's incredible to me. I look at my life and say, I want to make the 8-year-old Anne proud. And I want the 80-year-old Anne to look back and be proud. And so if I live my life in that way, it for me keeps things in check where it's like, it's not about me, right? It's about the difference that you can make and the people that you have an impact on. And that's what I'm addicted to. And so that's why it's hard for me to like, okay, get back in my own lane. Big guy will bring me whoever I'm supposed to when it's time for that. I think that's so powerful to be able to really realize that 8-year-old or 9-year-old, focus on her.
Well, they're running the show anyway.
Yeah.
Like all your little legends inside of you are running the show. And if they haven't been nurtured, protected, and guided in a way that's healthy, they're going to disrupt your life. Think about it. If you've ever raised a toddler that's throwing a tantrum in Target, like it's disruptive, right? And you have one inside of you that wants to be seen, heard, understood, and valued. And depending on the environment or the conditioning and what was taught, told, and modeled for you, like they're seeking out dysfunctional ways to get that. So you have to honor them in order for them to not be running a dysfunctional show that is just ready to go off-roading and off a cliff. But it's beautiful. It's really a beautiful journey. Like I've said this before, and like this was the most impactful, important work I've ever done for myself, for the people that I love, for the people that I lead. And it's the work that, trust me, if there was another way, I would have found it.
We would have found it. I'm with you.
I would have found it, because I know when I'm talking to even men and women, I'm like, I know it's going to sound a little wackadoodle.
Yeah.
But I promise you, I'm like a CSI investigative kind of person. And if there was another way, I would have found it and done it.
We've turned over the rocks. We've looked to
Trust.
see. Yeah, trust that has happened. We've done the research.
And I've got you. And, you know, to your point, like, I know I could help a lot of people. And I also know it's not my job here to play God.
Yes.
And some people don't get it till they get it. And sometimes that means falling flat on their face and not preventing them from hitting a rock bottom. Even though I could help prevent it, they're not going to get the lesson. Yeah. They're not going to get the humility. They're not going to get the full blown, like, surrender to actually have this work be effective. Yeah. And so I'm on standby, and I'm a safe, gentle, non-judgmental, loving, I'll fuck you up place. And you know, when you're ready, you know where to find me.
You know where to find her. I love it. Well, that's our time for today, Tracy.
Love it.
Thank you so much for coming and spending this hour. This has really been lovely.
My honor.
So if you have questions, suggestions, or think you have a story you'd like to add and want to be on the podcast, send us an email. Our email address is ladies@letsgetnakedpodcast.com. And then please do all the things to support the pod so that we can continue to do this important work. Follow, share, rate, and review. Catch you next time. That's a wrap.
I'd love to help you get vulnerable. Let's get naked.